Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Jackie Hermans. Guess what? March break is right around the corner. So on today's show, we're going to have a representative from Durham Tourism talking to us about all the amazing things that we can do over the March break in North Durham. I also have a firecracker on the show, someone who is very well versed in politics and who has also interviewed our very own Prime Minister. And so this young man will be joining us during his recess. And so you'll want to check that out. And he will also be interviewing Regional Chair of Durham, John Henry, on the show. This is going to be an awesome show. So I want to make sure that you keep on watching. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
This program is brought to you by NBA League Pass. More dunks, more slams, more to love, live in HD. NBA League Pass, part of the Rogers Super Sports Pack.
When it comes to drugs, how much freedom is too much for kids?
Drugs are out there. Will my teen feel free to say no around other kids?
I didn't live drug-free when I was younger. Can I admit that to my kids?
Drugs worry me, but how can I feel free to talk about it with my kids?
Questions about drugs and kids? Drug-Free Kids Canada.
I'm Deborah Hutchison, host of Talk Politics. Each week we speak one-on-one with your elected officials at all levels of government about the issues that affect us all. Keep informed. That's Talk Politics each week right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I am very excited about our next guest who has his own YouTube channel with 1.5K followers. He has interviewed people such as Justin Trudeau, Erin O'Toole, the MP of Ukraine. This guy is pretty awesome, and I'm excited for you to meet him. He is actually on his recess right now. He's a grade 7 student in Newcastle, and his show on YouTube is called The Wyatt Sharp Show. Wyatt, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So you are heavily into politics, and I'm so incredibly impressed by that. How did you get into politics in the first place?
So, I mean, I kind of have, the one story that I tell most people who ask this question, because oftentimes if, someone interviews me, that's oftentimes the first question they ask. And so it really, I think, started, and to be honest, I really don't have an exact answer because I think sometimes for most people, they kind of just, once they kind of get into it a little bit, they kind of get into it full force, I guess you could say. And so but it initially started, I think, for me when we were in Florida. It was really the beginning of COVID. It was we came home the day before they banned non-essential travel outside of Canada. So we just got home in time. But obviously, when we were there, we were constantly checking the news, constantly checking news headlines, our emails, etc., just to basically see whether or not we were going to be able to make it home. And so I think, like looking at obviously reading the article, but then looking at other things about articles that interested me, who wrote those articles, stuff like that. And so I think that was really the part that, allowed me to take an interest in it, was just seeing how it was really affecting, obviously in this case, heavily affecting the things that, we were doing. But then it kind of got further with, I got a column in our local newspaper. And then, as you mentioned, I started my show in January of 2021. So it's been just over a year now. And I've interviewed Prime Minister Trudeau, Erin O'Toole, Jagmeet Singh, Doug Ford, Jason Kenney. You mentioned I had an interview with a Ukrainian member of parliament just yesterday. So so it's been great and a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it's super impressive. So do you aspire to have a career in politics or a career in media?
I don't know really yet, to be honest. But I think
you're grade 7.
I think both of them seem like interesting paths. I mean, just kind of, seeing how especially with journalism, if you're willing to, try hard enough to get an interview with someone, maybe you send them, they don't respond to your first email, so then you send them a second or a third email, and then they eventually respond and say, maybe, yeah, we can do the interview. That, I think it just kind of shows how with journalism, you really can, as long as you're willing to try hard enough, get an interview with really anybody. So I would say journalism is good in that regard. But obviously, with politics, you could, make an impact on people. So both seem like very interesting paths.
Yeah, it would be exciting to see where you go. So how did you get your first interview with Justin Trudeau? Was it sending those emails again and really working to get that contact?
I mean, so for Prime Minister Trudeau, the path to it is sort of interesting. So as you mentioned, I live in Orono and my school's in Newcastle. So I had sent a couple of emails to his office in around July and kind of at the beginning of August, before we knew that there was going to be a federal election, and asked to do an interview. And I do believe that they responded saying that he wasn't going to be available. But then during the election, I went to a couple of campaign stops along the way. And one of them, I went to Justin Trudeau. I actually went to two of his campaign stops. So I went to one of them in Cambridge, which, as you can imagine, as I just said, I live in Orono. So that was about 2.5 hours away. So we drove 2.5 hours away. We got to Cambridge, and then I met his press secretary, his comms director, basically everyone on his team. And so then from there, it kind of just, I got to know them, and then I kind of followed up with them a couple times. And then I went to another campaign stop of his in Newmarket, Ontario, which isn't much farther away. And I just happened to be there because that's where my grandparents and a couple of my cousins live. So I was there, and he happened to be there. So then I went there again, met those same people. And then it was about 5-6 days later that we were able to schedule an interview.
Very cool. So we don't have a whole lot of time left for this interview, but I would love to know just your side, getting into politics a little bit. What do you think the United Nations needs to do to assist Ukraine?
Well, I mean, they had a vote on whether or not they should condemn Russia's actions, and that happened just yesterday, I believe. And so the vote happened, and 141 countries voted to condemn it. 35 people voted to abstain, and 5 people voted against it. And the 5 people that voted against it are probably, you're probably able to think of those 5 countries. They were like Russia, Belarus, Syria, a couple of others as well. So I think it's obviously going to be hard for the United Nations to take action on it when Russia is a part of the United Nations, as well as when countries like Belarus are a part of the United Nations. But obviously, there's other ways that they can take action. They can take action through NATO. They could take action through the EU. So there's various other ways I think that they could take action. But in regards to the United Nations specifically, I think that'll be fairly difficult to do, considering that, Russia's in it. And for whatever reason, 35 countries abstained on the vote, which likely means that they don't want Russia knowing that they condemn the actions that they're taking, or they don't want Ukraine knowing that they support what Russia's doing. So there's kind of a couple of parts to that. But with that many countries in the United Nations not knowing where to go and which side to kind of support, that seems troubling. And it seems like it would be hard to take any further action.
Thank you so much for that, Wyatt. We'll be right back with more, and you will see Wyatt in action with his interview skills. Thank you so much. Keep watching.
You know the story. When the RCAF said Mach 2 fighter, 2-place 1,000-mile range, the British said it was impossible. The Yanks tried twice and failed. They said, you're dreaming. We said, fine, we'll build it right here in Toronto. And now you guys, my guys, are saying that it can't be done, that they were right?
Now that's the rocket that we used to get the model up to speed, and then the onboard sensor tells me.
Come on, baby.
Damn it! But we did it according to your specs. The specs have changed.
We did it.
Arrow 201. You're cleared for takeoff. We
the government cancelled the project and destroyed the prototypes, the Avro Arrow remains for Canada a world benchmark in aerospace achievement.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So I still have the amazing Wyatt Sharp on the show here, and he's going to put his interviewing skills to the test by interviewing Regional Chair John Henry, who is also with us in the house. John Henry, welcome to the show.
Well, it's great to be here. I'm excited to be here and have Wyatt ask me some challenging questions, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, Wyatt, I'm handing the mic over to you. Take it away.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jackie. And so I guess I suppose to start out, I'll ask you about the Clarington municipal election. First of all, I mean, oftentimes when we think of a provincial or a federal election, we'll kind of have a ballot box question. In terms of, the upcoming municipal elections, here in Clarington, what do you think will be the overall ballot box question?
Oh, well, it's interesting because the election affects the entire Durham region. So there's 8 municipalities that make up the region, and there's questions. Each municipality has their challenges. So in Clarington today, I've had conversations about the waterfront, the anaerobic digester, and just the great growth of what's happening in Clarington. I think if we hadn't won the argument on the removal of the tolls on the 418, I think that might have been part of an election. And of course, getting the GO train out to Bowmanville is a huge challenge. Hope to have that resolved prior to the municipal election, but that could be a municipal election issue.
What about in terms of local infrastructure within, Durham region, specifically, I guess, public transit in terms of, people commuting? Obviously, you mentioned 418 and the tolls, et cetera, that will be happening. The provincial government announced that that would be scrapped. In terms of, I guess, local infrastructure, public transit, how do you think Durham region can work with the provincial government and some of the provincial ministers who sit around the cabinet table to, build more public transit and build more infrastructure within Clarington?
Well, I think a great example of that was the removal of the tolls on the 412 and the 418. That it took the municipality of Clarington, the mayor, Mayor Foster, and the council of Oshawa, Whitby, Ajax, Pickering, our northern partners, to work together to get that messaging to the province, and then working in partnership with the province. And the end result was the removal of those tolls. It's a great story because in the morning now, it gives options to our residents. So if you're traveling into Toronto and you're coming from Newcastle and there's an accident somewhere along the 401, if you get to the 418, you can go north to Taunton Road, across Taunton Road, and then come back down to the 401 in another part of the community, or continue west. For people that live in the northern part of the regions, for example, if you're in Orno and on the west side of Orno, more towards Oshawa, and you need to get down to the 401, getting down there, you'd have to get over to 57 and go down and work your way. Now you can just jump on the 418 and get down to the highway and get to where you need to be. So when you work together and you work with the province, you can do really great things. And I'm proud that is the work that's been done on the 412 and the 418 removal of tolls, and the great work that's been done by those municipal councils in the region on advancing the needs of the GO Train East expansion.
Okay, and then perhaps too, as it relates to, we've talked about infrastructure and public transit, how will the removal of those tolls on Highway 412 and 418 affect commute times for, people in Clarington who, let's say, travel elsewhere within the GTA to go to work?
Oh, I think the amount of time you'll get back will be, it'll definitely be measurable. I know that for me, traveling from where I live in Oshawa to get get onto the 401, being able to travel across the top of the region and jump on the 418 to get to the 401 saves me about 15 minutes as I get to the highway. So you're going to save 15, 20 minutes each way, each day. That allows more time to spend at home with your families, doing all the things that are fun, sports and all that, and then having dinner together as a family. That is really important. And getting that time back is going to be able to do that. The same if we can get the train out to Bowmanville. Having to drive downtown today from Newcastle could take upwards of 2 hours. Well, could you imagine what you would do if you got 45 minutes back each way every day because you could jump on the train and get downtown? It's important. It's family building. It's community building. It's good for the environment. So we're still working hard on that, and we will continue to work on that.
And I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, but just in terms of, I guess, one final question, in terms of, you mentioned wanting to bring the train into Bowmanville, to what extent will that require, work with people like MPP Piccini and, again, maybe perhaps MP Lawrence in terms of, doing stuff like that?
Well, it's about having those conversations and getting our message out to them. And Minister Piccini supports the Go Train East plans. It's working together, not against each other, bringing our communities together. The region's developed a transit-oriented development plan that is probably the best the province has ever seen. It checks all the boxes. So it's about working together. It's not about creating opposition. It's making sure that the communities understand where we're going, informing the public of all the things that we're doing. And it makes things easier. Working together is much better than working against each other. And the end goal is to make sure that the train gets out to the areas where residents want to move and live. Bowmanville is an amazing place. People are moving out there in droves to live. They live out there because they like the lifestyle. The commute is a challenge. And having the train out there, if it can save you an hour a day both ways, what a great story for families.
Regional Chair John Henry, thank you so much for coming on to the show. And Wyatt Sharp, you are a fabulous interviewer. Really quick question for you. Are either of your parents in journalism at all?
No.
No, you're just a natural. Any of them speakers, like keynote speakers or anything like that? Where do you get this from?
Nowhere in particular, to be honest, based off of, there's no one in my family or anything that does it.
Well, you are a natural and a born speaker. I think whatever career you end up going into, having that confidence and that courage to put yourself out there, it will take you far. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for interviewing Regional Chair of Durham, John Henry. It was fabulous to have you on the show. And we'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
It's about sharing and caring. It's about doing and belonging. It's about living life to its fullest. And it's about laughing out loud. We are L'Arche Canada, and we're about witnessing and sharing the gifts of all people. Learn more about us today.
Illness doesn't have to be a life sentence. Join me each week on Health 180 with Carrie and Fenn as we talk with doctors and other experts about how to reset your life after an illness. Learn health and wellness tips, patient stories, advice, and solutions from professionals on how to be the best you. Together we are stronger. That's Health 180 with Carrie and Fenn right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So now with me on the show is Kristin Chambers, who is the North Durham Tourism Specialist, and we're talking about things that you could do during March break. Kristin, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jackie.
So let's first talk about the Pickering Museum Village. It's a drive-through type of event. What is that all about?
Yes, that's right. So the Pickering Museum Village is offering the Izzy and the Mystery at the Mill drive-through tour. And this is taking place from March 16th to the 18th. And this is from your car. You can help 10-year-old Izzy find clues to solve the mystery of Mr. Peak's freshly ground grain that has gone missing at the local mill. This drive-through mystery experience is specifically designed for children, and the price is $20 per car, and the tour will take approximately 45 minutes to complete. And for more information on that, you can visit pickering.ca, and you can find the Pickering Museum Village on the Discovering tab right there on that website.
Oh, that sounds so fun. Do they have a recommended age for that?
No, I think it's just open to any little kids. They have specifically mentioned it is for little children. So fill your car, $20 for the car load. So excellent opportunity for the kids.
Awesome. And for everyone who loves maple syrup, Brooks Farms has something going on. Why don't you share that?
Yes, this is an excellent event. So Brooks Farms, which is located in the township of Uxbridge, is hosting a Maple Sugar Festival. This begins on March the 5th and will be open during March break. Tickets to the festivals include a train or wagon ride, self-guided and guided educational tours, campfires in the sugar bush, demonstrations and tastings, marshmallows and hot chocolate, and admission to the Barnyard Playland. And there's also a farm market there, of course, where you can purchase your maple syrup and other goodies. And you can visit brooksfarms.com for more information and to purchase your tickets. And tickets are $12.99 plus tax, and kids 2 and under are free.
Oh, amazing. Now, I don't know if you would know this or not, but I've been to their event in the past, and they've also had an opportunity for you to purchase pancakes to eat, and also using their freshly made maple syrup. Do you know if they'll be having that?
I would definitely recommend checking the website for sure for more information on that. I can't speak to that at that time, though. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's okay. My mouth started drooling.
Sounds delicious.
Having pancakes with their maple syrup on site. Okay, so good call. Check out their website just to make sure. So if you go with some hungry bellies, you'll be able to get whether you can get those filled or not. So Purple Woods has a self-guided tour. Please share our viewers what's going on with that.
Yes, so we are staying with the theme of maple syrup, and the Central Lake Ontario Conservation Authority is offering a modest free maple syrup self-guided hike through the sugar bush at Purple Woods, which is in Oshawa. You can discover the history of maple syrup and learn just how much sap goes into 1 liter of delicious maple syrup. The Heritage Store is open from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., where they will be selling the maple syrup and the maple treats. Registration is required in advance, and the event runs from March 16th to the 20th during March break. And the website is colca.com/maple syrup festival.
Beautiful. So with these maple syrup festivals, I think it's such a great opportunity for people to stock up on their maple syrup for the whole rest of, for the next 12 months, right? I think
Exactly.
It's so much better when you can, use maple or enjoy maple syrup from your own area, right?
Absolutely.
Support local farmers okay. Cool. We also have different municipal March break camps that are going on. So tell us about those.
Sure. So I'll start off with the Township of Brock is offering day camp programs for children between the ages of 4 to 12. Camps include weekly themes, crafts, and a variety of activities for the kids to enjoy. They're also offering March break public skating at the Sunderland Memorial Arena and the Foster Hewitt Memorial Community Center, which is in Beaverton. And you can visit their website, townshipofbrock.ca, for more information. The town of Ajax has lots of fantastic programs during March break, including swimming, skating, drop-in programs, free activities, and select camps are still available. And they're ajax.ca /March break. And March break activities are also open for registration in the township of Scugog. Several programs to choose from, including skating, Artists Unleashed program with the Scugog Arts, Fit for Sport Camp, and Adventure Camp, and much more. and they are scugog.ca/registration. And please feel free to check out your local municipalities' websites for any March break activities that they will be offering throughout the week as well.
Yes, definitely. So I am from the township of Uxbridge, and I know for a fact they do have some March break programs going on. My daughter is going to be a counselor for that. And all this talk about March break activities, it makes me want to be a kid again. Right?
I know. Absolutely.
Fun things. Any events you for sure want to go to yourself, Kristin?
I definitely am going to check out the Maple Syrup Festival with my kids, probably both the Cloca one and up at Brooks Farms. Great chance for the kids to get outside and enjoy the outdoors and get some fresh air.
Yeah, it's so exciting. We can do this now, right? With
Absolutely.
all the changes, the opening up of things. Oh, it feels good.
Absolutely.
Well, Kristin, it was so wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you so much. We'll definitely have you on again, maybe for some events happening in the spring, right?
Fabulous. Thanks so much, Jackie.
Thank you so much. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
It was my daughter's birthday. She was blowing out the candles on her cake when we heard coming from the TV. So we stopped and listened, and it helped us get to safety. That's why when I think of my daughter's birthday, because now she gets to keep having them.
Hi, I'm Jackie Hermans, the host of Uxbridge Scugog Life, where we talk about everything going on in your community, from events to programs, new products, new businesses. If something is going down in the community, we're going to let you know about it, only on Rogers TV.
Hey, what's good, everybody? I'm Karim Grant, a former professional football player. Do you want to know what current and former professional athletes are up to these days? Catch the Players Corner with Karim Grant exclusively on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life, and guess what? That is another wrap. How about Wyatt Sharp? If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, make sure you check it out. It's called The Wyatt Sharp Show. And after Wyatt interviewed the regional chair, John Henry, he mentioned to us that they have put a letter to the federal government saying that they would like to assist in bringing Ukrainian families to Oshawa because there's wonderful communities, Ukrainian-speaking communities, and we want to be able to help to get people out of the Ukraine. So that is, it's very exciting that we're going to help to make that happen. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to be on the show, you can email us at uxbridgescugog@rci.rogers.com. We'll be back next week for more. Make sure you're watching.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
My mother said we had to leave home. The communists were going to take my father away. If my parents were afraid, they didn't show us. But we would never forget our escape from Vietnam. We were lost.
What was your job in Vietnam? University professor.
We had no home.
Do you have any family in Canada? No, sir.
Nobody wanted us.